Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mercatus's podcast and I guess now a video series, Digital Grocer. It's episode 37, season 4, and this is really exciting. And I am, as usual, joined by my faithful host. I'm not sure why I use the word faithful, but anyways, Mark Fairhurst.
Have I given you reason to think I'm not
No,
faithful?
I don't know. I don't know why. So I apologize for using that word. But you are Mercatus's VP of Marketing, and you are, I think, stashed in the safety of your home bunker. Is that right?
But I'm disguising it through electronic means.
I think we. I don't. My home office doesn't have a brick wall behind me. Let's
No,
be
but it's
honest.
cool. I like the effect.
Yeah, this is new. So Mark, I want you to kind of let people know
Yeah.
all this crazy new stuff that we're doing.
Well,
I think this is amazing.
yeah, the response to what we, originally started out as an experiment has been huge, to put it mildly. And I'd like to think that we really kicked off a trend in the grocery space because it seems like everybody now has a podcast. So knowing how competitive we are, we've decided to amp it up a little bit, take it to 11, and add in video. And as part of that, we decided to build on the brand of the digital grocer. So we developed a new website, digitalgrocer.com. So our content is a little easier to find.
Yeah.
And we've developed our own YouTube channel. So if we love it for people who are listening, our audience, to subscribe, like, review, hit the bell for notifications for when there's a new show posted, and provide us comments. Thumbs up, thumbs down, what you don't like, what you do like,
Yeah,
and
that's
we want to
exciting.
hear your feedback. Yeah.
And you guys did it in record time.
Yeah, this was a little project over the last few summer months, and a little more difficult because we're all working from home still.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, but I have a great team and some great external resources we can tap. So it's we're excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is really great. So, since the last time that we recorded, a lot has happened in the industry. And I think you and I know we did a webinar for our friends over at Brick Meets Click.
Yep.
And the results that we co-published out in the industry for the month of June were just amazing. So grocery e-commerce sales hit 7.2 billion, and that's in US dollars. That's 600 million more than the previous month. Mark, any sense what the prediction may be for the month of July?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I was talking to our friend David Bishop over at Brick Meets Click yesterday,
Mhm.
and they're producing another research report with our help, which will be coming out next week. Actually, David has been seeing what he's calling normalization,
Mhm.
basically the dawn of the new normal.
Right.
Uh, Monthly sales are off a little bit from the high,
Mhm.
but still very much up from pre-COVID, which is showing two things. I think the regional effect of shelter in place, or
Mhm.
people feeling they need to shelter in place and therefore use online grocery, but also there's building in of that habit. Once you try something 3 times, you sort of start to develop that experience and a preference for it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that I was pouring through our data yesterday, and I think most people don't know this, we actually pull in a lot of transactional data in our Tableau infrastructure. So that gives us kind of this really interesting opportunity to kind of slice and dice the data.
Yeah.
And we are seeing in some cases in less affected coastal areas where sales have on a weekly basis probably started to decline 2 to 5%, but they're still much higher than they were, call it pre-March 11th. There are certain areas in the country, though, that in fact what's interesting is the numbers have remained consistently high and we're not seeing a decline. And part of me wonders if this is an opportunity for us to take some of this data and overlay it against the net new COVID cases on a state-by-state basis. I mean, food for thought. I think that'd be kind of interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing we do have, through the benefit of our retail clients, we do have that national view in the U.S.
That's right.
So it's that's a great exercise, and something that I'll definitely look into.
Now, Mark, we're launching mid-September a really important report. Is it okay to talk about this report now, or?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. You've seen the preliminary analysis. Just to give the audience some context, we engaged with a research firm, Incisive, led by some great guys, a former team over at EKN, which used to be owned by Ensemble Group. We commissioned them to do a research report through our retailers' shoppers, really to understand the preferences and behavior compared to pre-COVID, during COVID, and then post shelter-in-place orders. And what we're seeing, first of all, the response rate. We had over 60,000 responses from across the U.S. We developed over 48 million data points.
Wow.
So this, and I asked the folks, I said, is this on a scale that you've seen before? And their feedback is, they to their knowledge, they have never seen a survey of this size and magnitude and statistical significance as a result. So the insights coming from it will be, dare I say, definitive. I'm sure someone's always going to find an angle to take that is contrarian, but it's going to be significant in terms of gauging where the U.S. grocery shopping public is currently and where they're going.
Yeah. The aggregate report that was prepared is that I had the chance to kind of go through and provide some thoughts and ideas on how we can leverage some of the findings. It's just amazing because you're now able to contrast what's happening on the West Coast, what's happening in the south of the United States, or in the East Coast, or in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And that's interesting when if you're a retailer and you're trying to make a business decision, at least it's an informed decision more than anything.
100%. Yeah, and it's coming out the week of September 15th.
That's great. Yep. Well, that's great work to the team at Incisive, and certainly to your team, Mark. So big news, DoorDash jumped into on-demand grocery delivery. And Mark, I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, they did it in a big way. So they're not only did they jump into grocery, but they also announced their own direct-to-consumer grocery convenience option as well. It's I think it's, from our perspective, it's good to have choice in the market.
Yeah.
I think to have another grocery last-mile delivery provider is a good thing for retailers. DoorDash has a very different model than Instacart.
That's right.
DoorDash doesn't mind being the white label delivery platform, and they're flexible in that regard. Whereas, Instacart's been a little more focused on the marketplace and keeping their relationship primary between them and the shopper.
Yeah, I find it interesting. Like, it's really ballsy of DoorDash to open up kind of a virtual, convenience store for consumers to take advantage to, because I'm sure grocery retailers don't really care, because they don't want their customers anyways using their stores as convenience stores, because the margins are tight enough. You don't want people just cherry picking low margin items off the shelf. But I got to think for some of the other customers DoorDash could be going after it, I'm sure they must think it's a bit of a conflict.
Yeah, like the 7-Elevens of the world,
yeah.
The Wawas, those types of convenience chains. I think they got to be concerned.
Yeah, well, we're excited at Mercatus to be doing an integration with the team over at DoorDash, and I think that the more choices that we can bring into our network of retailers in terms of last mile delivery just makes a tremendous amount of sense in any case. So, we're really excited to be doing that. So also in Canada, we never talk about our home country. This is some big news. So at the end, I know we're laughing and chuckling. We are patriotic. Don't get me wrong.
We
I
are.
celebrate both holidays, right? What's that, Mark?
Which which holidays? Christmas and New Year's?
Christmas, and I've been to the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade in New York,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I celebrate the Independence Day. I celebrate Canada Day, which only like lasts an hour anyways. Sorry. So in Canada at the end of June, Sobeys launched the Voilà,
Yep.
their e-commerce solution with home delivery, and that was done in partnership with Ocado.
Yep.
And it's listen, I got to tell you, we wrote about this. There was a piece that was just recently published in Winsight magazine. I took the opportunity to really step back, research what they were doing, how they did it, and then probably bought too many groceries, had them delivered, got into the delivery truck. They let me in. I couldn't take pictures, but and it's kind of interesting. It's reality is the investment Sobeys is making, and most people may not know this. They are building 4 CFCs, so what they call customer fulfillment centers. The first one is in Vaughan, Ontario. It's just north of Toronto proper. That first CFC is 396,000 square feet, probably around, it has 1,500 employees roughly, maybe 1,100 robots, 39,000 SKUs being sold online. The total of these 4 CFCs, the second one is being built on the West Island of Montreal, and the other two are going to be Calgary and Vancouver, will give Sobeys the capability of actually servicing 75% of the Canadian population. That's impressive.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. I mean, after you told me your experience, I
Yeah.
tried it, and I got the customer experience angle of this.
Yeah.
These guys, they've won it hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the thing that they're doing differently, Sobeys.com is a different digital property versus Voilà.ca.
Hmm.
And the experience on Voilà.ca, whether it's you go on the mobile app or on the website, it's very utilitarian in the sense that it's not a Swiss Army knife. Like there isn't a blade or a tool to do 75 different things. This only does e-commerce, and it does it really well. There's a couple of things that are nagging, and I didn't write about them in the article, but they do autocorrect inside the search. So if you write baby bok choy, your first of all, your browser, and I use Safari on a Mac, it kind of overrides everything, and it's searching for baby bok boy, which is really, I'm sure grocers don't sell that stuff, right? But it's just kind of those little things. I know they're tweaking, but I built an order of 21 items under 6 minutes, and it wasn't just random items. I had them written down on a piece of paper. So kudos to them. I think this is going to fire up the Canadian grocery e-commerce wars, and we've not yet seen here, what Amazon's going to do.
Right.
Now you can order some items on Amazon.ca, but not like you can, Amazon Fresh isn't available to us yet. So it'll be interesting to see if Amazon thinks there's an opportunity to enter the space. I think my only feedback to Sobeys was, I think that they built this experience that's all about the CFC, so delivery trucks. I think they have to start thinking other parts of Canada where they're not servicing, and I know they're going to do this in Nova Scotia. How do you jam in click and collect? How do you jam in curbside?
I mean, to your point, I mean, we've always been advocating it's experiment and don't close the door on one solution at the expense of another.
Well, it's not a one size fits all, and I think our research has proven. I mean, if you look in LA, for example, versus the rest of parts of the other, I would say other states. I wouldn't say it's not ubiquitous across the country, but delivery far outranks click and collect by at least 10 basis points.
In our data, in the report that we'll be sharing, shows that.
Yeah. First is if you go into parts of the South where people are more predisposed to actually wanting to use curbside. And even at the height of the pandemic in the US, the increase in wanting to use delivery was marginal at best. So I think if you're a retailer, and not only you have to worry about operationalizing so many different things, I think you just can't put all your eggs in that one basket. I think that's the reality of it. And also in the news, Walmart announced on August 18th their Q2 numbers, and the one standout was their e-commerce sales grew by 97%. That is astonishing, to say the least, specifically for Walmart. And I my gut's telling me, they're crushing it. And they recently announced Walmart Plus, which is their, you can call it their membership, which a competitor to Amazon Prime and so on. I think the biggest news that also came out was the partnership with Instacart.
Yeah, that certainly got a lot of attention.
Yeah, it did.
Not necessarily in the best way.
No, and no, not amongst the community retailers for sure. Now they ended up they're piloting, I think, in 4 areas over in California, and I think they're doing somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah, I think it was Tulsa.
Tulsa, yeah, in Oklahoma. And so this should be quite interesting in terms of where could this partnership lead. And we just don't know. Now, the thing that we do so well on this video series, podcast, I'm not sure what to call it, or I'll just say what we do so well on Digital Grocer.
That's right.
DigitalGrocer.com. Yes, it's okay. I'm showing the social channels right now just below you and I.
Excellent.
And what we do so well here on Digital Grocer is we bring the experts to the table, right?
And we've been fortunate to have some great guests.
Yeah, and we haven't spoken to this guest since we recorded with him in studio in Manhattan. He is a very smart individual, and I think you guys will recognize just by the description. He's a strategic e-commerce consultant, CEO, and founder of RMW Commerce, and by far an extremely brilliant strategist. And I want to welcome to the show Rick Watson.
Thanks so much, Sylvain and Mark. I appreciate you having me back on. I'm wondering if the expert guest will join us soon.
Oh, you're too modest. You're too modest. So
you're on LinkedIn all the time. Great thoughts, great insights.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
Appreciate it, guys.
You certainly know how to leverage the power of LinkedIn versus me, who just gets people wanting to sell me consulting time and cheap labor overseas. I'm not sure what to do anymore.
Yeah.
So, hey, Rick, I'm really curious. What are your thoughts on this whole pilot between Walmart and Instacart?
Yeah, I have 2 thoughts regarding this pilot. The first, my gut reaction is to feel bad for Walmart a little bit. And if you look at, even if you do some preliminary research, Instacart has pulled ahead of Walmart in online grocery just in the last few months. And so you can't help but wonder if this is a response to that in some way, that they feel like they're losing ground and they need to get more exposure, especially if they feel Amazon on their heels. So that's kind of one. Second is, I think the other thing that could be happening is that Walmart feels it can't keep up with Amazon's digital investments. If you look at, what would Amazon do in this situation? First of all, never go on Instacart. You're never going to see them in a million years on Instacart. But what about Walmart would make them want to go on that would make Amazon not want to go on? And what does that say about their long-term position in the space Generally, it doesn't say good things. And I think probably the only other final point I would have about this is there an angle where Walmart is testing it to gain data
Right.
and just using it for their own competitive intelligence? It's not something they plan to continue, but Instacarts can't say no, and Walmart learns something, in which case Walmart actually has the upper hand here. So that's the other scenario we can probably dive into.
Yeah, I think that so you touched on something for sure. I mean, Mark and I have been discussing two things. One, could Walmart leverage the Instacart Marketplace to its advantage to further, look at it this way. The prices that they upload to the Instacart Marketplace could be considerably lower than everyone else. So that's a significant advantage. So that could be stealing market share through the marketplace. That's number one. Number two, I think the reality is right now Instacart is the only opportunity for Walmart to scale its delivery service immediately. And I think Instacart is the backbone for Walmart Plus in the long run. And go ahead, Mark.
That's a bold statement.
It's a density issue, right? It is a density issue. They can't compete with Amazon on, especially if you look at the markets that they're in Southern California. They can't compete with Amazon on route density. So if they're going to make a play for that market, who better than Instacart?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen the speculation in the market about, well, could Walmart acquire Instacart? But what are you acquiring? Like, yeah, you're acquiring the technology, the base of gig workers and so on. But the reality is a valuation based on what? Because I think what's going to happen is the retailers that are currently on Instacart would start delisting. So you're losing revenue right now, and maybe Walmart doesn't care about that if they were to contemplate an acquisition. But I get concerned for the retailers that compete against Walmart. That suddenly you're on a platform, you have zero control, zero differentiation, and price becomes the key differentiator potentially. And we've seen the studies that were published by Barclays, I think this was in 2018, 2019, and the brand loyalty from the consumer to the retailer doesn't exist in the marketplace. It's really all fundamentally about the Instacart brand. What are your thoughts, Rick, on Walmart Plus? I'm kind of curious. Is this a competitor to Amazon Prime?
I think, look, there are a lot of people that are Walmart shoppers that aren't going anywhere, and they aren't going to do most of their shopping online. Target has shown that you can definitely have people pick up on the store. They fulfill about 90% of their online orders from their stores. I don't know what Walmart's numbers is for those same effects. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, how do we get to 2020 and Walmart not have a unified loyalty program? The biggest retailer in the world. It makes no sense. So that's kind of where I start from. As 2 weeks ago, I knew the numbers of how many Amazon Prime households are the top, percentage of Walmart families, and the number is increasing quite a bit.
Wow.
It's like 30-40% of the top Walmart spending families are also Amazon Prime members. So they definitely feel that threat. I'm not sure it's a replacement. I think you're going to have both, particularly in the affluent shoppers, which is the ones that everyone's shopping for. No one's going to balk over spending another $80 a year if you're a frequent Walmart shopper.
Yeah.
But you're probably also going to buy on Amazon. So that's kind of where I start from on this.
Yeah, I think the big hook for Walmart Plus is the fact that they're kicking in a fuel rewards program where you get 5 cents off every gallon. I mean, I did a quick calculation yesterday evening. So if your car has a 16-gallon tank, and the average cost of a gallon is $3.85, and say you save 5 cents. And if you gas up once a week, you'll pay for half of your membership in 1 year. And I think the economics kind of just make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, I don't know their gas rates similar to, Sam's Club and BJ's and all these other warehouse clubs also have gas programs as well. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes usage there or not.
So Rick, what are you hearing from retailers through the pandemic right now? To me, it seems like a hodgepodge of people are not doubling down on strategy. It's just like, let's just keep the doors open, and no one's taking the opportunity to reinvent themselves. What are you seeing out there?
I do see some signs that some retailers are looking to leverage online channels, not necessarily make it core to what they're doing. For instance, there are a lot of brands that drop ship for major department stores everywhere, but there are many that don't. They don't. Drop shipping is a foreign concept, and when you can't sell, and wholesale is really their business. That's the mindset of the CEO on everyone on down, everyone in the merchandising team, wholesale, because online is what, maybe 5% of their sales or 8% of their sales. All these people suddenly had like 12 dropship projects on their roadmap overnight.
Wow.
And so a lot of these brands are scrambling to keep up with that roadmap and to get good at something that they've never had to get good at before, which is fulfilling directly to consumers in each's. So I wouldn't call that digital transformation by any stretch. And in fact, you might call it the opposite. Like, they were forced to do something while revenue was zero, literally zero, for at least a month in retail for wholesale buys. And what else are they going to do? But it doesn't change fundamentally the organization. You're not going to redo any IT systems in 3 months, particularly the older ones. So we definitely do see the importance of direct to consumer increasing, but it's still slower than you would think, even with the acceleration in the pandemic of buyer behavior.
Yeah, and I think the next 6 to 12 months are going to be even more interesting, and I think we're going to continue seeing dynamic changes in the marketplace. I think players that are there today are no longer going to be. We're seeing that in the grocery retail industry with I think it was Steinmart filed for bankruptcy. I think we're going to continue seeing those as well, and I think this is an opportunity for those retailers to really kind of, I think it's not just doing. That's what's happening today, but I think an opportunity to kind of think long term, really where they want to be with their business. We're still seeing some retailers struggle operationally to kind of handle the volume, and there is this underlying fear, if a second wave comes in that's much stronger than the first, will grocery stores be asked to shut down and only service their consumers through curbside, click and collect, or delivery? We had that discussion on a webinar yesterday with one of the vice presidents from FMI. So it's certainly on top of mind. Rick, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And how do people get a hold of you?
So obviously you can find me on LinkedIn, search for Rick Watson. You'll find me, the one with all the e-commerce there. My email address is rick@rmwcommerce.com, or you can reach me on the web, rmwcommerce.com, the website. So
perfect. Thank you so much. Mark, always amazing to record another episode with you.
First one in the can.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And do not forget to go ahead and visit our website, digitalgrocer.com, and like and subscribe on the social channels. And this will be available on YouTube and also on your favorite podcast player. Thank you, everyone.